Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I'm so happy to be here with you all this morning. It feels like Namaskar when you see devotees assembling together to talk about and hear about Krishna. So it feels like transcendental. Of course, Srila Prabhupada said all of our temples are like Vaikuntha, Golok Dham. So it really feels Golok Dham. So thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be with you this morning. So we will sing Jai Radha Madhava for a couple of minutes. Jaya Radha Madhava Girivaradha. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. Jaya Radha Madhava. Sorry. Gopalari Prabhu, do you understand? Please. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopira Allava Girivadhari Girivadhari Ashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki सामवेद भक्त वृंद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्री श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All grace to assembled devotees, all grace to assembled devotees, all grace to assembled devotees, all grace to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So this morning we'll recite from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the question may arise, why Chaitanya Charitamrita? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur establishes the importance of Chaitanya Charitamrita for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. In one of his dialogues, one of his lectures actually in South India when he was touring years ago, he was talking to a group of audience may not know Chaitanya Charitamrita. They all know Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he decided to speak on Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in his introduction, he was establishing the importance in a way. He said, okay, thank you. Is that okay? He said, if the destruction of the world or Mahapralaya comes, or whenever there's a flood in our area, what do we try to do? We try to first save our life, correct? Then we try to get the most precious thing that we have. We try to protect, or the most valuable thing, isn't it? So that's our nature. So to make a long story short, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami said, the most important thing for spiritual seekers and for devotees is that the scriptures, and nothing can be more valuable than the scriptures. So he said, when Mahapralaya comes, you save your life and you take three things with you. The first thing you grab Bhagavad Gita. Then the second thing, Srimad Bhagavatam. And the third thing, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So now he said, now the water level is rising, it's increasing more and more. Now you can't carry all four things, your life, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So you let go Bhagavad Gita. So it's kind of interesting. We know Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Person of Godhead, this direct word, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying, we let go Bhagavad Gita. So we keep Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and of course our life. And now he said, now let's say it's become more difficult to carry all three. So you keep your life and you let go Srimad Bhagavatam, and let's keep Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, he said, now two things, so you have two options, your life or Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he said, you let go your life, but never let go Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the point is that from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can establish all of the principles that are described in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we see also in example of Srila Prabhupada's life, Srila Prabhupada completed Chaitanya Charitamrita first, before even he could complete the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is very important for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Charitamrita, it's incredible pastimes and the beautiful teachings presented, summarized in a way given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for us to relish. So we'll make an attempt this morning to understand some of those teachings and some of the pastimes from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So before we recite the verse, that is from Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 54. We will chant Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So this verse is from Madhya Lila, chapter 22, entitled The Process of Devotional Service, and text 54. It's a very well-known verse, quoted by Srila Prabhupada many times in his different lectures. And in fact, even in his very last moments, he was emphasizing, when he was about to depart this material world, he was emphasizing the importance of sadhu sangha. So this is one of my favorite verses too. So you're going to recite that. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai. Lobhe matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hai. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai. Lobhe matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hai. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai. Lobhe matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hai. If anybody would like to recite, please. Love matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hai. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai. Mataji's? Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai. Have matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hai. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai. Lobhe matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hai. So word by word translation. Sadhu sangha, association with pure devotees. Sarva shastre, all the revealed scriptures. Kai, say. Lobhe matra, even for a moment. Sadhu sange, by association with a devotee. Sarva siddhi, all success. Hai, there is. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. Purport. It has a one-line purport. According to astronomical calculations, a lobha is a 1/11th of a second. It's a one sentence but very powerful, isn't it? A lobha is a 1/11th of a second. So can you imagine that moment in our head, you know? It's very tiny, isn't it? A fraction of a second. So we'll try to understand this verse. Before that, gonna Om Jnana Tirmidharsha Gananjana Shalokaya Chapshuro Militam Jena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ktamaya Dadati Sapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this important verse appears in Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Lila, which is considered the cream of Chaitanya Charitamrita. In this particular section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and part of these instructions we find in Nectar of Devotion, presented by Rupa Goswami in a way for us to understand the science of Bhakti Yoga. So, while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing to Sanatana Goswami, he listed out 64 different activities we can do to please Krishna. So first, he recited 59 of them. Then he came to the last 5, and he wanted to give a special importance those 5 activities. Then he said, Shakal Shradhana Shrestha E Pancha Anga. These 5 activities are Shrestha. They are the topmost or most important for devotees to engage in order to nourish ourselves in our Krishna consciousness and ultimately to please the Supreme Lord. Those 5 activities we also see in Nectar of Devotion as given by Rupa Goswami. Those 5 are Sadhu Sangha, Name Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas, and Srimurti Shraddhaya Shravan. So if you really look in these 5 activities, Sadhu Sangha, association with devotees, Name Kirtan, chanting the glories of the holy names of the Lord, Bhagavat Shravan, hearing scriptures, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so on, and Mathura Vas, living in a holy place, and Srimati Shraddhaya Shravan. So a lot of time we wander around, what does it mean to live in a holy place? You know, there are about 6 billion people. And whenever we think of holy place, we think of Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, and so on, isn't it? So imagine 6 billion people moving to those places. It's already crowded. So what does that mean? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this beautifully in Madhya Kadambini. So what it means to live in holy dham. It is not just the place. Sometimes we can live in a place, but we may not have the consciousness, we may not even realize we are there. So according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it is the consciousness that we carry within us, or the place we live in, we create Vrindavan or Vaikuntha atmosphere. In other words, we keep Krishna in the center of all our activities. And we see Srila Prabhupada exemplified that by establishing temples all over the world. As he said, our temples are non-different from Vaikuntha or Vrindavan. So, living holy place essentially means keeping Krishna in the core of our all activities. And this is how we live in holy place. So one interesting point, if you look among these 5 activities, we live in Kali Yuga, right? What is the process for developing our spiritual connection or establishing our relationship with the Lord in this age? What is the yoga dharma as we know of? Chanting of the holy names. So the question may arise, why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put Sadhu Sangha on the top? Why not Nama Kirtan, isn't it? Logically speaking, we should have Nama Kirtan, the first activity. Does it make sense? But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not put Nama Kirtan. So, why so? So our acharyas explain that in great details, particularly with Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the introduction of Madhya Kadambini. He brings interesting points to illustrate how Sadhu Sangha is the foundation, core principle of our Krishna consciousness. So he put interesting arguments to establish this point. So some of the arguments he made, we'll try to go through very quickly. He said, how about, in principle, how does one become a devotee, or how one becomes fortunate enough to come closer to Supreme Lord? So to establish that, he said, how about luck? Let's say somebody, one that's driving by this road, I do not know the name of this road, and suddenly, he just came across this temple and just came in by luck and became a devotee. And as we understand from our scriptures that nothing happens by luck, at least material platform, what we get things in this very life or very moment due to our previous activities, in other words, what is called karma. So for nothing exists by luck, it's just a notion that is there to justify our not knowing of why things happen. Sometimes we wonder, why did these things happen to me, not somebody else? Because it's a way to pacify our, shall I say, our unknowing. Then he said, how about by pious activities in our previous life? Let's say we did pious activities in our previous life, and this life we become devotee or came close to Krishna. That makes, okay, maybe, thank you. That may make sense. Then he brings an interesting point. He said, how would that be possible? So, even if we do punas or the pious activities in our previous lives, that's material, but Krishna consciousness is spiritual. So, the result of karma kanda, in other words, pious activities, cannot derive Krishna consciousness. The analogy he gives, an orange, let's say you plant 1,000,000 orange seeds. What is the likelihood of getting an apple tree? What is the chance? 0, right? We have incredible mathematicians here and engineers, so the likelihood or the probability is 0, isn't it? So similarly, of the pious activities, we cannot derive Krishna consciousness in this life. We'll get something material, we may get a good birth, a good family, and so on and so forth, but not spiritual life. Then he brings a very interesting point. This one, how about Krishna gives special favor? Can Krishna give a special favor? He's independent, isn't he? He's an independent personality. He is not bound by any laws of nature, because he's the creator and the source of all that be, and he can change things as he likes. Does it make sense? Can Krishna give a special favor to somebody and decides to make this person, okay, you become a devotee, you come close to me. Can he do that? Yes? He can, correct? Then how about Bhagavad Gita 9:30, where he says, Samaham sarve bhuteshu, like he's equal to all, correct? He doesn't give, he's not partial, he's impartial. Same bhuteshu, he's equal to everybody, and he contradicts his own statement. So that's not possible. Why would Krishna choose somebody? Does Krishna have bhakti? Krishna is the object of bhakti, isn't it? So who is, then he goes to the source of bhakti. Who has bhakti? Bhaktas, right? Just like the source of heat is sunlight, isn't it? Sun. So the source of bhakti is bhaktas, or are bhaktas. So to say, the bhaktas have bhakti. So bhakti can only come from bhaktas, not from Krishna. Krishna is the object of bhakti. So then he brings that only bhaktas can give the bhakti, nobody else. So bhaktas, in fact, bring others too close to Krishna. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur establishes that it is the bhaktas who makes others fortunate. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he came to West at the age of 17, his very advanced stage of life, out of his inconceivable compassion. And he wanted to make and bring thousands to the lotus feet of the Lordships. So bhaktas are very compassionate, and they only can give that bhakti, which is very precious. Krishna doesn't want to give bhakti because he knows by bhakti he can be easily purchased. He becomes bhaktas. And in this regard, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful pastime. It's a pastime of Durvasa Muni and Amrish Maharaj, where we see this principle is very clearly defined and shown to the world, how bhaktas are very dear to Krishna. In that pastimes, you all know the pastimes of Durvasa Muni, correct? Everybody knows that pastime? And there, we know once, I'll try to go through that very quickly, that pastime. Once Amrish Maharaj, who was a king, very wonderful king, and a very devoted devotee of Vishnu, he was observing very strict Ekadashi, not like ours. We have sometimes fruits and we become so creative. We, Ekadashi day, it becomes, instead of fasting, it becomes a reason for new dishes. So he was observing that strict Ekadashi, not even drinking water, nirjala. So he was fasting. The next day, when the time of breaking fast just about to come, at that time Durvasa Muni walked in to his palace. Then it is a very custom when a saintly person come to your place, you'd welcome them with a few things, like you first offer them, you welcome them by sweet words, you give them place to sit, you give them something to eat. So Durvasa Muni, being a learned king, he did all that. Then he asked Durvasa Muni if he's hungry, would like to honor something. And it is the custom of hosts won't eat anything before the guest. And especially if it's Durvasa Muni. And if you know, Durvasa Muni is a very touchy personality, isn't it? He can be very easily pleased and sometimes very easily displaced. And the result of that, in Krishna Lila, we see about more than 40% of the demons become demon because of his curse. So his very touchy personality. So Durvasa Muni said, I will take something, but before that, I'll go and take a bath. The cleanliness. Then Durvasa Muni with his disciples and followers went to take bath. And at that time, Amrish Maharaj was getting a little anxious. He's not coming. He's taking longer than he should. So the time is just about to expire because, there's a certain time we have to follow. Then he consults the Brahmanas. What should I do? I don't want to offend my guest and his sage, Durvasa. What do you recommend? This is another quality of a great king. Although he knows the Shastra, to verify his understanding, and he consults with Brahmanas or the other people who know things better than us, can help us guide in our Krishna consciousness. In other words, gurus that we always need. So they shared with him, you don't eat anything, but you can take some water. And you will technically break your fasting condition, but won't eat anything. We don't eat water, we drink. Unless you're from Bengal, then you jal cow. So then he took some water, and Durvasa Muni came back, and he had mystic power, of course. That was very common those days. He understood. Durvasa Muni ate something or took something before him, Amrish Maharaj. So, thank you. Amrish Maharaj drank or ate something before the Durvasa Muni, then he felt offended. That shows his touchiness. And he took to make a long story short, he pulled the hair from his head, but through his mystic power, he created a fiery demon. And demon started chasing the Amrish Maharaj and created a havoc. Then, of course, Krishna does not tolerate when his devotees are put in difficult situation because of such an offense, minor offense. And to protect and show special mercy and to establish how devotees are very dear to him, Lord Vishnu sent his Sudarshan Chakra to save Durvasa Muni, Amrish Maharaj. Then Sudarshan Chakra chased Durvasa Muni through his mystic power and devotion. Some or other, he ended up being in Vaikuntha Loka and going in front of Lord Narayan. So then when he went there and asked for forgiveness, so Lord Narayan or Vishnu spoke 4 verses, and we see in chapter 9th canto of chapter 4, text 63 to 67 describes the beautiful narration, how Krishna even appreciates and values the association of his devotees. So if you don't mind, I'd like to read one of those verses. I thought this is a really nice verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmanas, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent, because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the course of their hearts. What to speak of my devotees? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. So this is very interesting. Bhaktir bhakti priyaha. Even when we become, he said, not those who are those who consider my devotees, but those are devotees of my devotees. They are very dear to me. And in fact, we even see in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna goes to different teachings, and at the end he comes in the 18th chapter, we see Sarva Ghuyam Tamam Ghuyam Shuneme Param Bacha. He said, whatever I told you, these are all great. Every verse is important. But what I'm going to tell you, these are the most important. These last verses are the secret of all secrets. They're the essence of all essence. In other words, it's really the essence. So then what he gives? Man mana bhava mad bhakta, right? He says to become my devotee. Then what happens when we become his devotees? Then we become very priya to him. We become very dear to him. Now here we see, even if we don't become a devotee, but we develop appreciation and relationship with devotees, we will be accepted by Krishna. And the examples we see also in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam, there are numerous examples. And one of the pastimes that I particularly like, it's the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj. And we all know the story of Dhruva Maharaj, what happened to him. To make a long pastime short, Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, directed him how to find Krishna, although his initial intention was to ask God for a material thing, a kingdom bigger than his father. But some or other, she directed him to find Krishna and get closer to him. So anyway, then Durvasa became a great devotee, and he had all this kingdom and became a great devotee. At the end of his life, when he's just about to depart this material world, then the Vaikuntha Doots, the messengers and the carriers of Vaikuntha airplanes, not Air India, came down, exceptional airplanes. You may also see that at the end of your life, wonderful aircraft coming, not the Elon Musk special aircraft, would come to pick you up and take you to Vaikuntha. Then Dhruva Maharaj didn't want to go. He said, I'm not going to go. Where is my mother? I'm not going to go without my mother. My mother has such an attachment with me, so I don't want to go without my mother. So the Vishnuduttas and Dhruva Maharaj, they started arguing that why she's not ready to come. But Dhruva refused to go. He said, no, I'm not going to go without my mother. Suniti was not a devotee, so to say, but because she was a devotee or devote to Dhruva Maharaj, so she got the mercy. Then the Vishnuduttas finally convinced, okay, we have to take her with us because we cannot leave Dhruva there. So we see then Suniti got the mercy of going back to Godhead and being in a Vaikuntha Loka. So the point is that devotees can really take you back to Godhead. This is our process too, right? We don't go to Krishna directly. We go through devotees, spiritual masters, isn't it? And the other example is a beautiful one, the pastimes of Putana. Correct? Who was Putana? A demon, isn't it? Her intention was to kill Krishna. And her brother was Putana's brother, Aghasura, correct? Who was he? He was a demon too. Did you know Aghasura went back to Godhead, Vaikuntha Loka? What qualification did Aghasura have? So what qualification did he have in terms of going back to Godhead? He's a demon. He should go to the worst hell, isn't it? Worst possible hell. Correct? Makes sense? Yes, that's there too. But Aghasura went back to Godhead is, Jiva Goswami explains this. The main reasons, of course there are many reasons, that Aghasura went because of his attachment to Putana. And even Putana went back to Godhead not because she was being killed by Krishna. Of course Krishna gives liberation. But Putana got a very special role in Golokdham. What is her role? She's a nurse. She's Krishna's nurse. So she comes very close to Krishna. So our acharyas explain that when Putana was trying to kill Krishna by poisoning through her breast milk, just for a fraction, for lobha, she had that awakening. Oh, that beautiful little Krishna, am I going to kill him? He looks so beautiful. Although my intention is here to kill Krishna. But that, for a moment, Yogamaya was removed, somehow rather disappeared, and she developed that affection, feeling for Krishna. Krishna being a bhava grahi janardhana, he accepts the offering and bhava, the mood of everything, accepted that feeling, that desire of Putana to serve Krishna, and gave her a special role in Golokdham and made her a nurse. So because of that, because of her attachment to her brother, our recommendation brought Aghasura to Golokdham. So it's so important that we develop that attachment to our spiritual masters, to devotees who can help us and get us closer to Krishna. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that devotees can be, actually he quotes a very interesting person to establish this principle. He brings that from Srimad Bhagavatam, where I won't mention the name of the person, a special personality was teaching to an incredible devotee son. He was saying, my dear son, association is so important. It is just like a crystal. Whatever you put forward in front of it, it will reflect upon. So this verse is actually spoken by none other than Hiranyakashipu. You would not expect Hiranyakashipu to speak that kind of verse. But he was making that point to his son Prahlad not to associate with Vishnu Janas, with the devotees. Then Prahlad Maharaj's reply was, my dear father, yes, I understand, association is very important. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur brings this point to establish that devotees can act as if mirror for us. Sometimes when you stand in front of mirror, what do you see? Do you see our own self? We see our perverted reflection, right? Our left ear becomes the right, or sorry, left becomes the right, right becomes the left. We don't see, correct? But somebody is in front of us, standing in front of you, can see you, which one is right, which one is left, isn't it? But the mirror can tell you can tell yourself. So devotees are just like a mirror. They can help us, guide us through to remove our anarthas, or shall I say, anarthas perhaps. In other words, help us to get closer to Krishna and guide us in a way that we become free from our mental speculative zone. Do you all have that sometimes? I have all the times. But when you talk to our spiritual master who can see through our heart, correct? Or devotees that we really admire and have connection, because of their compassionate nature and their connection with the Supreme Lord, they can see through us clearly. So they can guide us in a way that we cannot do it on our own. So therefore, the association is a very, very crucial. And to go back to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's point, that he said, it is within sadhu sangha we perform all other activities, even samkirtan. The word samkirtan is not ekaki kirtan, right? In fact, we see ekaki amara naipai harinam sankirtan. So we cannot do alone, like we see Narottam Das Thakur writings, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's writing. We need always association. In fact, not having association can create a big havoc for our life. The example we see in the life of King Bharat. King Bharat was such a great devotee. And one of the main reasons he decided to leave his kingdom so that he can devote his 100% to his spiritual practices, isn't it? He didn't want to waste his time doing worldly affairs. So, and he chose to be in the forest and give 100%. And what is the result of King Bharat? What happened to him? He became attached to a deer. And he developed a consciousness of a deer. At the end of his life, the next life, he ended up being a deer. So, Srila Jiva Goswami explains this, the reason behind why that happened to such a great personality. King Bharat. Imagine if you have that kind of potency, that kind of devotion, we'll be on the moon. But devotees don't see it that way, isn't it? That's the humility. So King Bharat was in such a difficult situation because subconsciously he ignored the sangha of sadhus. As a result of that, at the end of his time, nobody was there. Jeev Jago, wake up, King Bharat, what are you doing? There is no one there, correct, to help him. So he ended up being in such a difficult situation. So devotees will be there for us that moment that we need the most. They are our saving grace. Really. At the time of death or difficult times, the experience of it we'll understand from our shastras it's inconceivable. Unless we experience it, we really can't explain it. And we all know, perhaps, I have experienced in my previous lives, but I don't remember this one. So it is inconceivably difficult to conceive. So that difficult moment, having that consciousness to remember Krishna and think of Krishna and have that clarity is very difficult. But when the devotees are there chanting, even our most crucial time, that most painful time, we can subconsciously even, we will start chanting, isn't it? Even though he may be in a coma, but we heard many stories, the devotees, even in coma, when devotees will go and chant, and Srila Prabhupada's chanting or the devotees chanting, they will immediately open their eyes or hear that. So devotees can help us to those crucial moments. So therefore, sadhusanga, something that we should never let go. And we should do everything possible in our capacity to make sure that we maintain the association of devotees. That naturally we will be inspired in our Krishna consciousness. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Rupa Goswami. In fact, that's one of the first things he taught him. So imagine the Supreme Person of Godhead who came as a bhakta to distribute Krishna Prem, and he's showing the way how we can achieve that. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he will go with the devotees when they go out for Harinam and all that, keep the company. And Srila Prabhupada's very last moments in his life, what did he instruct us? What did he instruct us? The famous video we see? And cooperate. But yes, that's there too. But one point that he made it again and again, if you really watch that video a few times, not once, I think at least 4 different times. Once I asked Jayadvaita Maharaj, whom I had the great fortune of traveling with for many years, who happened to be there. I inquired from him. I said, you were there when Srila Prabhupada was departing. Understandably so, it was a very difficult time for disciples to experience the spiritual master departing, and it's Srila Prabhupada, who is the fountainhead, the father, spiritual master, guide, all in all, everything you can imagine for them. So it's a very difficult moment to see and experience. And ask him, so what do you very clearly, distinctly remember? What comes to your mind without thinking twice? He said, Srila Prabhupada's instruction of being in association of devotees. We should never compromise the association of devotees. So we see how important it is. Even our founder Acharya, in his very last moment, instruct us and help us to be in assembly of devotees. So, it's almost 8:30. One very quick pastime, it will take a minute. How by appreciating and having association, we can receive the supreme mercy. This one I have to mention because this principle actually shows how we can get the mercy of Krishna without a fail, guaranteed. It's a guaranteed investment. There is no risk. So, does it exist in the material world? No. But in spiritual activities it does. So, there in Antilila, we see pastimes. It's a pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami's uncle, Kalidas. So, Krishnadas Goswami said, Kalidas, because of his appreciation and attachment to devotee and service to devotees, and his constant endeavor to please them, he received the supreme, yes, the supreme mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than anyone else. We don't hear much about Kalidas, correct? We hear all the close, intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said, it is Kalidas who was the recipient of Nobel Prize, the supreme mercy. In fact, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after honoring prasadam, or after having bhoga, because he's the Supreme Lord, he will ask his assistant Sharab Damodar to make plate and send to Kalidas to honor, so that he can honor that prasadam. Just imagine what kind of mercy is that. Even it goes even better. So every time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will enter to the temple of Jagannath, he will wash his feet, right? That's the custom. So, of course, for the Lord, it's his own temple, but he showed us through his example. And, devotees will wash his feet, then there will be two big bodyguards to protect. Nobody comes to get that Charanamrita or water. But Kalidas was the only one allowed to accept that mercy. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said it's because what he has done in his heart to please devotees, always serve them and appreciating them. So when you appreciate devotees, Krishna will appreciate us. To the extent we develop appreciation for devotees and culture of devotees, Krishna will appreciate us because that's the process. So to become close to Krishna, it's really being close to devotees and serve them. So we know the secret of the best recipe, something that can never go wrong. So that is sadhusanga. So these are my initial thoughts that I want to share in this on this verse. So if there are any questions, comments, or corrections, please. Sarva Siddhi as described, actually it is described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur again. So for devotees, Siddhi is different than what we usually understand. Siddhis, whenever we think of Siddhis, we think of extraordinary power, correct? This is what you think initially that comes to our mind. Like some kind of yogic power. And we see sometimes somebody can produce some gold and they give gold and they're known as God, isn't it? So this is what I think of siddhis. So this is actually material sense, but here the siddhis, our Acharya explains, the liberation, what kind of liberation? Not just being in a Vaikuntha, getting Sarupa, or getting that form or being in a Vaikuntha planet. But here, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refers Siddhi as having that opportunity, that absolute blessings to be close and serve direct with Krishna to serving his devotees. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation, Siddhi here having the opportunity to be engaged in devotional service. I hope I answered your question. Kapilari Prabhu, would you like to add anything more? If you'd like to add something more to that point, please.
No, you had mentioned that there's different stages.
Different stages, how I become fortunate to become a devotee, or how one comes to the platform of devotional service. Yes, there is also a little explanation from Chaitanya Charitamrita, please.
What are those?
Of course, we understand there are different levels of devotees, correct? We know from Nectar of Devotion and also Chaitanya Charitamrita, particularly in Antalila. That's a beautiful description, actually. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring to Kuliagram, every time he'll go, they will ask him the same kind of questions. Do we also do sometimes we ask the same questions in different way to different speakers? We tend to do that, huh? That's a human nature. I guess that's the intrinsic nature of jivas. So they ask the same question, who is a devotee, or how we can associate in different levels. As we understand, Kanishta we associate in a way, and Madhyama and Uttama, and as in an association there are two parts, correct? What are the two parts in association? Giving and receiving. So, as we all know, all those three stages of devotees, how we relate to different stages. So, particularly between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Kuliyavasis, where they asked him, so who is a devotee? how we can associate with him. So different times, Lord Chaitanya will answer differently. First time he said, one who chants holy names of the Lord, he is a devotee. He is the best among mankind, or all species. Then, anyway, to make long story short, then ultimately he said, a devotee is one whom by saying you start chanting Hari Hari, Hare Krishna. So that person is a devotee. That attraction, that encouragement, that reminder, when you have that kind of reminder, that's a devotee. So of course you can look at it in different ways, in external point of view, tilak and all that, or whenever we see our spiritual master, we immediately be in our best state of being as we can be. Then we exhibit the pure bhakti, prema, isn't it? We suddenly become Kanishtaduttama. Well, it happens to me, it may not be to you all, but so then next day when a spiritual master leaves our place or the association, 180-degree shift, isn't it? Parabolic move, as we see in the investment world. So, so that happens. So anyway, to answer your question, the best way to associate, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to the Vasis, is that developing and cultivating that desire to become a devotee and serving them, and he said, make an endeavor to serve them, it's the perfection. And it is actually the siddhi in this case. Lobhe matra, 1/11 of a second. How powerful it is. Can you imagine doing anything 1/11 of a second? What can you do? We can't even blink our own eyes, can we? It takes about 3.5 seconds. Did you know that? So 1/11 of a second, that's a fraction. Sarva Siddhi Hai. How potent. Why is it so? Krishna Bhaktir Janma Mule Hai Sadhusanga. The root cause or the foundation of Krishna Bhakti is Sadhusanga. Therefore, it can give us Sarva Siddhi. I hope I answered. Okay.
Returning home back to Godhead.
Tulayam
labhenapi nasarakam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya
Matra.
So ultimately is return home back to God.
Thank you for enlivening us. Thank you for sharing that point. It's very nice. Any other questions, comments, corrections?
And then Brahma had to come and save him. Again, an example of the necessity of elevated association. It's very nice. Another point I was thinking that also it's so nice to be in association of devotees, because a pure devotee is like a sadhu who cuts the knot of material attachment. I mean, I've experienced it in my own life, that unless only a sadhu can do it, like you said so nicely, that he's the only one can give bhakti, So he can also cut that knot, that deep, deep hidaya granthi, like Kapil Muni says, right, in the Bhagavatam. And going through life, I've experienced that deep anartha, which just sticks over there and doesn't want to go. Only a sadhu can cut. So, yeah, this is very nice. You're a very nice class, Prabhu. I just wanted to appreciate very much. The other point I was thinking in the case of Dhritarashtra, when Vidura told him, and he's a dhira, he's not Narottam, right? So when one leads a very frustrated life, and he was so sinful, right? He tried to kill the Pandavas. When you are at that platform, then it was suggested to him that he goes and just stays alone and, overcome that part. Like he was not really eligible to be in the association of sadhus. So I was wondering if you want to comment on that, even this association of sadhu comes after great fortune. Like how fortunate we are, isn't it? Dhritarashtra was not so fortunate,
Actually, there is a beautiful description in Srimad Bhagavatam itself where the very point you're making is so eloquently described. And same point we see, I can't remember where exactly, I think it's in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is said, when one's wandering in the material world ceases, then one would have the blessings or the fortune to be in association of devotees. So the question may arise, but how is that possible? So does it mean that I have to give up everything first to get the association of devotees? How we can become free from all material entanglement, then we'll get devotee association. It's kind of oxymoron in a way that doesn't make any sense. That means I have to make my own endeavor and all that. Yes, that's there too. Spiritual life means we need to make our own endeavor. But there, again, Srila Jiva Goswami explains this, that, so this very point, I do not know the technical terms of that, so I'll just give it as I understood. He said, he brings an example of grammar, the effect of an activity. So just like whenever you put a fire on something on a table, what will be the result of this fire? This will become an ash, correct? It will burn to ashes, right? Correct? So the effect of fire would be burning or creating ashes around. Even we see the power, even the big buildings, glass buildings and bricks building will turn to trash. So he said in a grammatical sense, all is there, but it is actually not because their material wandering ceases, then they have the Sangha of sadhus. He said it's the other way around. Because of the association of the sadhus, the very point you're making, because having that fortune, your material wanders, your material sufferings will go away, your material consciousness will disappear. And we can even look at our own life. When you come to Krishna consciousness in the beginning days, how did you become a devotee? Did you all become, some of you might have come as a pure devotee, but most of the cases, that's not the norm, isn't it? It's not the norm. So when you come in association of devotees, we understand as we get better and practice more and more, we naturally give up certain habits that we developed in the past. Yeah? It's not other around. So that's the effect of devotee association. And even though we may do the most sinful activities and all that, by simply, it's not a stamping that because we're going to have a Sangha of sadhus, therefore we can continue to, that's not an association. That's not the way to associate, that we can continue to do sinful activities. But no, but by associating with devotees, we will naturally give up all these anarthas. And even if we perform sinful activities in the past, but in a Sangha association, in case of, here, Dhritarashtra or even Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra's case, you can get purified. They can give us a consciousness. Just like what is the last instruction or the verse of Bhagavad Gita by Sanjaya? Uvacha yatra ugeshara Krishna yatra partha dhanurdhara tatara sri vijaya bhutir dhruvar nitir matir mamaha. That's his conclusion, right? He's not just saying Krishna. He said, Partha, the devotees, in this case Arjuna, who is a very dear devotee of Krishna and a friend. That place, there will be morality, victory. What kind of victory? Is it just victory over evil? Of course, that will be there. The victory of overcoming the fear of death, overcoming what's going to happen, that anxiety we have at the end of our life. Then we'll have that victory. What is that victory? Having that ultimate siddhi. As Prabhu very nicely illustrated from Bhagavatam, that having that opportunity to be able to serve the Lord directly and assist, serve the Lord, sometimes not necessarily directly, but through his serving his devotees, assisting. Just like, what is our goal? We don't want to be direct servant of Krishna, but we want to be a servant of Srimati Radharani, right? We want to assist to our spiritual master, to Srimati Radharani, who is the best servant and the best devotee and the source of all bhaktis. So that's our prayer, that's our goal. That's the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is all about, isn't it? All these practices. So the sadhusanga, or the association of devotees, can cure the most uncurable disease, that is death. What is the death rate? What is the death rate in America? What is the death rate in India? 100%, isn't it? Death rate is 100% everywhere. It's not 99%. It doesn't matter where you live. Yeah? It's 100%. Nobody can deny the ultimate truth of departing our body, the present body. So death rate is 100%. So what kind of insurance policy are we having for that? The best insurance policy you can have for death or ultimate fear is sadhusanga and being in association of devotees. That will pay off, guaranteed. So, with that, I'll end. I hope Mata was able to share.
But I have one doubt. Association is here, Kurukshetra battle. Krishna is being whole essay of Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But Arjuna, while Arjuna got benefited, but same Bhagavad Gita was hearing by Dhritarashtra from Sanjaya.
Mm-hmm.
Why this guy did not get any benefit out of it?
As I said, the culture of consciousness will create, isn't it? Crystal. The analogy of crystal is given by Hiranyakashipu. So what kind of sangha was Dhritarashtra having all the time? Duryodhana, Shokini, if you look from Mahabharata. Yeah? All that he heard, did he listen to? Did he imbibe? Did he listen to Bhishma Dev? Who did he listen to? Who did he took guidance from when it came to the battle most of the time? He actually sacrificed his intelligence because of his attachment and fear of his sons losing the kingdom. So, material attachment. So this is exactly Mother Arada was making, that devotees can cut that knot, spiritual master, that attachment. And for that, we need to have proper consciousness.
Without attachment, then chant Hare Krishna mantra, then we get delivered. Otherwise, Pati Janka Karidaji, Namu Sankirtan, Tapapina Paisya, Pradesh,
Primidhan, exactly.
Attachment will never finish that benediction.
Yep. So with that, it's 8:48. I'm so sorry I went well over your allocated time. Thank you for tolerating me, and I'm very grateful and thankful for your association this morning. And yes, so thank you. All grace to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Jai.